What is he doing? All these tears? And the show tunes?
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most tear-jerking moments courtesy of our Bikini Bottom pals in both the movies and the TV show. Expect spoilers ahead.
We did all right for a couple of goofballs.
Number 20. Goodbye, Bikini Bottom. A nematode infestation has completely devoured SpongeBob's pineapple, leaving the forlorn sponge without a home. He tries to rebuild or even move in with his neighbors, but nothing works.
No. What the?
So SpongeBob is forced to move back in with his parents. On the day he's about to leave, he gives one last tearful goodbye to what remains of his home. It's devastating. Miraculously, those tears are just what he needs to grow a new pineapple, allowing him to stay in Bikini Bottom forever. We're glad this story has a happy ending because the prospect of SpongeBob leaving town forever is heartbreaking. Poor Patrick was just like us, completely distraught at the thought.
Come on, SpongeBob!
Goodbye, Patrick. Goodbye, Bikini Bottom.
Number 19. Ugly SpongeBob. SpongeBob can't seem to understand why nobody can stand to be around him, and starts believing that it's because he's ugly. Patrick tries to cheer him up and make him feel ugly and proud, but to no avail.
I'm ugly.
You're ugly and what?
Square?
No, proud.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
He can fake being proud and confident all he wants, but it can't hide the pain he feels inside. And seeing him so self-conscious and upset is just heart-wrenching. Even Patrick is enraged at the idea that people would reject him for being ugly.
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
Fortunately, it turns out that people were avoiding him because of his bad breath, and thankfully, SpongeBob can take that in stride. Number 18. Holiday Heartbreak. It's Bikini Bottom's very first Christmas, and SpongeBob is elated to share the fun with everyone. However, Santa Claus ends up being a no-show, and SpongeBob is left reeling in a moment that breaks us. Squidward's teasing, of course, only makes it worse.
Say Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Aw.
Despite his heartache, he still finds it in himself to give the octopus a thoughtful gift, which makes the already brutal scene even sadder. No one should be miserable during the holidays, especially when they embody Yuletide cheer. Thankfully, in a truly heartwarming display, Squidward later dresses up as Santa to fix things, again showing that even he has a soft side for his chipper neighbor.
Thank you for bringing Christmas to Bikini Bottom.
I didn't bring Christmas to Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob. You did.
Number 17. Squidward hits rock bottom. Tired of putting up with Mr. Krabs' nonsense, Squidward finally quits his job at the Krusty Krab. At first, it looks like the world is his oyster, and he's free to pursue his dreams. But soon, the poor cephalopod finds himself in dire straits.
Spare change. Spare change, ma'am.
Squidward? Squidward, is that you?
He has no job, no home, and even had to consume his artwork just to survive. Seeing him break down in tears only makes it more tragic, knowing how far he's fallen. Of course, SpongeBob doesn't hesitate to offer his grumpy neighbor a home. Unfortunately, Squidward ends up taking advantage of his poorest friend. Still, it doesn't change how difficult it is to watch him at his lowest.
And why aren't you in uniform? It's about time you got here!
Number 16. I'm Ready, Depression. At the start of the 2004 film, SpongeBob is readier than he's ever been. It's the day the Krusty Krab 2 opens its doors, and he's a shoo-in to be promoted. Sadly, Squidward is chosen as manager instead because, in Mr. Krabs' words, SpongeBob is just a kid. Thus, our normally chipper young sea sponge falls into a deep depression, and his reaction just wrecks us.
You did not get the job!
But why?
He then ends up eating far too much ice cream, numbing the pain temporarily. Seeing SpongeBob intoxicated is unnerving on its own. Plus, the circumstances are just unfair. Anyone who's lost a promotion opportunity because they're not mature enough can sympathize with this, especially since SpongeBob works harder than any employee in the universe. Number 15, the rude customer. SpongeBob and Squidward have been traversing what feels like half the ocean to deliver a Krabby Patty pizza. The journey is long and harrowing, but SpongeBob is determined to bring the customer their food. Yet when they arrive, said customer just berates the yellow guy for not bringing him a beverage, one he apparently didn't even order.
But you didn't order any.
How am I supposed to eat this pizza without my drink?
SpongeBob gives more than 100% in everything he does, and the suggestion that he failed a customer, even after going through hell and back, is too much to bear. So he breaks down in tears, and we do the same. It's a good thing Squidward gives the customer a piece of his mind, because otherwise the moment would be too unbearably upsetting.
Look, I told you, little friend, I ain't paying for that!
Well, this one's on the...
Number 14, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy reunite.
The Krabby Patty is too big for you. You'll never finish it.
Don't you see what you're doing? You're treating me like a child.
Sick of being infantilized, Barnacle Boy turns to the dark side as Barnacle Man. He manages to defeat Mermaid Man and issues some pretty simple demands.
And number 3,
Come on, domination.
I want an adult-sized Krabby Patty. Did you hear him say anything about eating dirt?
He then offers a hand of friendship, which his companion tearfully accepts, and the dynamic duo is reunited. This heartwarming moment is much more painful to look back on nowadays, given the passing of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's actors, Ernest Borgnine and Tim Conway. Seeing the heroes reunite feels symbolic, and carries extra emotional weight, epitomizing the legacy they left behind in their careers and the franchise itself. Number 13, 62 cents. Mr. Krabs has gotten himself into some major hot water with the Flying Dutchman this time. But before he can be dragged off to Davy Jones's locker, SpongeBob bravely stands up for his boss.
This Mr. Krabs is the most generous, big-hearted, non-skin-flinted crab in the whole sea.
And how does Mr. Krabs repay him? By trading the fry cook's soul for 62 cents. The fact that Mr. Krabs doesn't even think twice before selling out his most loyal employee, even after he defended him, is just depressing. Really hammering home how low Krabs has sunk is the fact that Squidward, of all people, calls him out.
He stuck up for you and you sold him out. You should be ashamed of yourself!
We know he's loyal to his wallet, but this is just disheartening. Krabs learns his lesson in the end, but it does little to undo the hurt caused. Number 12, growing up. SpongeBob loves visiting his grandma, but when the townsfolk start teasing him for being a baby, he decides to grow up with no more baby stuff. Unfortunately, adult life isn't all that it's cracked up to be, and SpongeBob throws a hysterical crying fit wanting to be a baby again. The rant is kind of hilarious to watch at first, but it gets progressively more upsetting, because SpongeBob's convinced that he's too old for his grandma's kisses, and it's especially sad to those who are under the mindset that you're too old to enjoy the things you loved as a child.
Take it easy, SpongeBob!
Fortunately, Grandma SquarePants is there to remind us all that being an adult doesn't mean you have to grow up completely.
No matter how grown up you get, you will always be my little baby boo.
Number 11, thanks for nothing. Squidward gets a chance to have his marching band perform at the Bubble Bowl, except he doesn't have a band. He rallies the townsfolk and tries to turn them into a band, and fails miserably. With all hope seemingly lost, Squidward just gives up, telling them all not to bother showing up for the big day, and just tearfully says, thanks for nothing.
Don't bother showing up tomorrow. I'll just tell them you all died in a marching accident.
It's already been established that Squidward is the show's punching bag, but seeing his one chance at happiness crushed is just heartbreaking. However, it makes his triumph at the end all the more deserved when the gang finally comes together to make him proud and perform Sweet Victory, which itself could draw a few happy tears. Number 10. April Fool's, jerk. It's April Fool's Day in Bikini Bottom, and Squidward's had enough of SpongeBob's practical jokes. He decides to show the little fry cook a real prank via a spring-loaded trap that sends him flying all over the Krusty Krab before landing in a garbage can. Feeling battered and humiliated, SpongeBob runs home with tears in his eyes. And naturally, everyone is disgusted with Squidward's prank, and we can't say we blame them.
Come on! Come on! You guys know I was just kidding, right?
Oh man, poor kid.
All SpongeBob was doing was playing silly, harmless pranks for fun, but a certain cephalopod decided to escalate things and make the little square dude cry. Fortunately, Squidward's conscience forces him to apologize, right before SpongeBob gets a little taste of revenge.
But you have to promise not to tell anybody.
I promise.
Really?
Number 9. SpongeBob in the Wild. SpongeBob has been daydreaming about living among the jellyfish, and decides to prove that he can last more than one day in the wild. His friends all scoff at his decision, except for Patrick, who feels utterly betrayed that his best friend basically abandons him. He spends over half the episode in tears, begging his buddy to come home.
Patrick said!
Meanwhile, SpongeBob learns the hard way that being a jellyfish isn't that great. While it's nice to have a change of scenery sometimes, he had a wonderful life and friends, but he gave it all up just to end up being miserable.
Buzz. Sandy.
Fortunately, he comes to his senses and returns to the modern world, and his friends happily welcome him back, even Squidward. Somewhat. Number 8. Squidward's depression. SpongeBob has been trying and failing to find Squidward his happiest memory, but all his attempts only cause more grief for the unhappy cephalopod. Before long, Squidward falls into a heavy depression. He's stopped taking care of himself and his house, he doesn't go outside anymore, and he wallows in his own misery.
I might as well go to bed for 100 years or so.
This hits uncomfortably close to home for those dealing with similar mental health issues. It doesn't help that Squidward's the show's martyr, and the harmful imagery only makes it more unsettling to sit through.
I just can't seem to get happy. Well, that didn't help.
He eventually finds happiness again, after mauling several papier-mâché SpongeBob replicas in a rampage. So SpongeBob did help in some sense. Number 7. SpongeBob's Final Hours. For Employee Brotherhood Day, Squidward buys SpongeBob a pie, except it turns out to be an explosive. Thinking that SpongeBob's time is running out, Squidward takes it upon himself to give his coworker the best final day anyone could have, going all out. The day ends with the two watching the sunset, where Squidward guiltily breaks down sobbing. Though his chipper neighbor annoys him to no end, he never wanted to cause his death. We also fall apart watching, wondering if these really are our beloved protagonist's final moments. Don't worry, SpongeBob is fine since he never ate the pie, but the distress beforehand is all too real, and has us reaching for the tissues.
Let's eat. Oops.
Number 6. Goodbye, Mr. Best Friend. SpongeBob and Patrick have been best friends forever. They've even joined the Best Friends Forever Club. However, when Patrick becomes intelligent thanks to some brain coral, their friendship is on the rocks.
I know we've had fun in the past, but we're just not compatible anymore. It's time we went our separate ways.
Patrick believes that they've just grown apart and have to go their separate ways, which naturally breaks poor SpongeBob's heart.
At least Patrick's my friend in my memories.
The idea of the dynamic duo splitting up is just too much to bear. Even Patrick regrets his decision as he tearfully looks back at the glory days before his newfound intellect. Thankfully, Patrick quickly learns that knowledge can't replace friendship, and happily gives up his new brain power just to keep his little buddy. Number 5. Sandy's Texas Song. Being a squirrel out of water, or underwater in this case, Sandy starts to feel homesick for Texas. She misses her old home so much that she pulls out her guitar and strums out a melancholic country tune.
Wish I was back in Texas. The ocean's no place for a squirrel.
A song so powerful that anyone who hears it is brought to tears. She almost considers leaving Bikini Bottom until SpongeBob convinces her to stay with a surprise party and her own little slice of Texas.
Homemade peas in a can pies. And we got our very own 10-gallon hats. So what do you think? You gonna stay?
Anyone who's been plagued with homesickness can relate to Sandy here, but it's important to find a way to make your current residence feel like home. And if Sandy ever had to leave this underwater paradise and all of her friends, it would probably crush her all over again.
So long, Bikini Bottom. I can't leave without a goodbye. But please don't think bad of me if I start to cry.
Number 4. This grill is not a home. During Mr. Krabs and Plankton's card game, Krabs foolishly bets SpongeBob's Krusty Krab contract and loses.
I'm sorry, boy. It's all my fault.
After one last tearful embrace, Krabs is forced to watch his best fry cook get dragged away to work for his arch nemesis at the Chum Bucket, almost like a father and son being separated.
This kitchen's not the same without you.
Before long, the two engage in singing a somber duet about how much they miss each other, SpongeBob wanting to return to the grill he loves, and Krabs wanting his most loyal employee back. He even says he'd trade it all for him. In the end, SpongeBob's rebellion proves too much for Plankton, and he's happily brought back to the Krusty Krab where he belongs. Number 3. Farewell to Stephen Hillenburg. In celebration of 20 years of the franchise, Bikini Bottom celebrates SpongeBob's birthday in a fun, heartwarming special that culminates in the cast singing a birthday version of the theme tune.
Oh, who's having a birthday under the sea?
Me.
With presents and cake and caller ID. SpongeBob SquarePants. Would you?
However, the very final shot contains a message that's sure to make longtime fans sob. It reads, "Thank you, Steve Hillenburg." For those unaware, the series creator, Stephen Hillenburg, passed away the year before this special aired, and never got a chance to see his show meet this major milestone.
Happy birthday, SpongeBob.
Happy birthday, SpongeBob!
Happy 20th, SpongeBob!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, SpongeBob!
The moment gives the late creator a much-deserved tribute, but seeing it always makes us misty-eyed, as it reminds us that he's no longer with us. Number 2. The end of SpongeBob. SpongeBob and Patrick are on their most perilous journey to date, to retrieve King Neptune's crown and save Mr. Krabs' life. Unfortunately, along the way, a diver abducts them and takes them to his gift shop up on dry land. He then sticks them under a heat lamp that slowly dries them out, basically killing them at a snail's pace.
This doesn't look too good, Patrick.
You mean we're not gonna get the crown, save the town, and Mr. Krabs?
I don't even think we're gonna be able to save ourselves, buddy.
Lying together side by side, the two goofballs shrivel up and dehydrate, knowing how close they came to finishing their mission. Watching our favorite underwater buddies die in their theatrical debut was just unbearable for longtime fans and moviegoers. But it's nothing the tears of friendship can't do to bring our goofy goobers back to life to save all that they love. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You'll have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Gary runs away. SpongeBob has been so preoccupied with a paddleball challenge that he forgets to feed his snail Gary. Feeling neglected, Gary runs away, leaving his poor owner feeling guilty, alone, and inconsolable.
No, don't do it, Gary! No, Gary!
SpongeBob barely held it together when Gary supposedly dumped him for Patrick, but knowing that he unintentionally drove his pet away just crushes him.
Patrick! Huh? I can't find Gary!
To make matters worse, our eyes are left watering during the Gary come home montage as SpongeBob desperately searches for his beloved snail, mixed with flashes of him lamenting during the saddest song of the series.
Your meow right now would sound like music to me. Please come home, 'cause I miss you, Gary.
Thankfully, like most of the entries on this list, there is a happy ending. But any pet owner will agree that driving away your animal companion is the worst feeling ever. What SpongeBob SquarePants scene left you misty-eyed? Let us know in the comments.
Happy birthday, SpongeBob!
Thank you, Patchy.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.